Hello, friends. Good evening and a warm welcome to all of you. My name is Komal Shah and I'm your host for today. I'm a part of Sharan team. Following Sharan lifestyle has helped me shed 17 kgs of weight, reverse thyroid, and lead a very healthy and active life. I'm totally loving this lifestyle and I'm super passionate to spread this message to the world. So, before we start, and for people who are new, I'd like to share something about Sharan. Sharan stands for Sanctuary for Health and Reconnection to Animals and Nature. Our founder's name is Dr. Nandita Shah. Our mission at Sharan is to empower you to reach your highest health potential with long term lifestyle changes. We help people to reverse lifestyle disorders by nutrition and holistic programs. We at Sharan suggest a 5 point plan for a complete well being and a life without medicines. These 5 points are plant-based food, no animal products. Go organic, as in have all organic food without any pesticides. Whole foods, as in no processed and packaged foods. And just check your vitamin B12 and vitamin D every 6 months and get yourself supplemented if you're deficient. So this was about Sharon. Now let me introduce to you to our speaker for today, and she's a very special friend of mine, Jayashree Kannan. She'll be speaking today on how she reversed cancer. So, Jayashree Kannan, she's a qualified counselor and was a social worker by profession. Then she got trained to be an NLP practitioner, inner child therapist, heal your life coach, and she also did T. Collins plant-based nutrition program. Her foray in emotional and spiritual healing led her to courses in yoga and meditation, Art of Living Foundation, and the rich world of Vedanta learnings. She has reached out to many people through her workshops, individual counseling, and therapy sessions. As a wellness coach and cancer coach, she helps people to connect with themselves and become aware of their own strengths and healing power. She now conducts cooking classes, talks, book readings, cancer well-being program, heal your life trainings, and even 6 week health gain and weight loss program with Sharon.
So, welcome you all. Good evening to all of you for the session today. I never knew when I got cancer in 2007 that I'll be addressing a group of people after so many years and talk about my reversing cancer as if it's like one story to share. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do today. So, when I was diagnosed with cancer in 2007, I had no clue that that would be cancer and and all the treatment I would have to go through in connection with it. And the word cancer, what it brings to all of us when we hear the word cancer. It sort of brings in a kind of a fear, isn't it not?
Yeah, fear, Prakriti is saying fear.
Yes, a fear, we and another thought comes to us. Oh God, I'm not going to live long. I'm going to die. Isn't it all the thought? Even if we don't have anybody in our close relatives, or even if we have not got cancer, the word, and we are not even associated with anything else. But just hearing the word gives us all those strong emotions of anxiety, fear, because that is the information we get, and we know that cancer cannot be healed, and it gives us all those fears. Yes, and that's what exactly happened to me also. I was also in the same boat when I was diagnosed, and worse was when it relapsed. So the relapse really took me on a downhill in my health, and I was really off mood, and I had no clue what I could do to get out of it, because it's going to be worse when it reverses. When it relapses, the treatment is bad, everything is more aggressive. And uh, and a cancer like ovarian cancer, you already I the knowledge is that it spreads and it cannot be contained. So all those things give fear, and this is what exactly I went through. Hmm? Sharan stands for Sanctuary for Health and Reconnecting to Animals and Nature. So for me, cancer, if I look at cancer and look at it as as a turning point for me, to look at it as a turning point, it's really when I got cancer, I never knew all those things which Komal told about me. read that I am all that. I got all that only after I got cancer. Otherwise, I was just a counselor and working with an NGO, so satisfied with my job. Whatever I was doing, I was happy. I had a lovely family, two lovely kids, and a very supportive husband. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was wondering from where this came. What was the reason? I had no clue. And when it relapsed, it was even worse. So, but now when I look back, I think it is a blessing, and it's a turning point in my life because I've become a whole new person. I am totally changed. I am doing something totally different, passionate. I am connected with an organization which is spreading health, and it's so different from what I did. And I'm really, really enjoying this second life of mine. Definitely, and much better, and I am much a better person, I would say. So I really feel cancer was a turning point and a blessing. And for anybody in this group who knows cancer people, or who are themselves healing, which I don't know, we didn't ask, and it's okay. Definitely look at it as a turning point for yourself. Definitely it's come for a reason, and we need to go deeper within ourselves. It's not only ends with the treatment which the doctors do. They treat you well, but the healing happens from within, and we need to do that. And it is cancer healing is from inside out and not from outside in. So once you remember that, definitely we can all overcome cancer, and we can look at it as a turning point for us. Now, let me tell you how I could do all that. Definitely, you'll be wondering from where I got this gyan and I did things like that. I will surely tell you how it happened. Like we all know what is cancer. It is a cells which forget to die, and then they go uncontrolled and form tumors, and then they spread all over, and the tumors formed, and then it becomes malignant. And we know, all of us know what cancer is and how it spreads, and the treatment. Even if we have such advanced treatments now, like chemo, radiation, I mean, what not, the treatment has really improved. But no doctor tells you that I've cured you. He always tells, come back, check, keep yourself I mean, go back doing all the checkups regularly and keep a watch on that cancer. That's what all doctors tell. And they tell it with such good intention so that you can treat it when it comes immediately. Like for me, when it relapsed, my doctor told me we'll nip it in the bud because it was just started. The relapse had just started. But for a patient to go through it, it's so difficult because again the treatment is so tough, and you really feel that the body can no longer take those toxic medicines because they are only targeting the cancer cells, and along with that the good cells also die. We all know it. And your immune system, immunity of the body comes down, and actually our body can no longer take the second line of second set of treatment, and that is when the body gives up. So most of the time we die not because of cancer alone, but all the treatment and our body which cannot handle it. That's what happens, isn't it not? Hmm? So let's look at. So what I realized was when I was working with understanding my cancer and trying to heal it, our body is amazing. It heals by itself, and there's a lot of books written on this for us to understand and learn, isn't it not? Isn't it really? So what is health? Now, when you look at health, health is wholeness. Health is for me, yeah, this is for me. And real health is to be rooted in your true self. This is what from I learned from my spiritual texts and my Vedanta course, understanding that wholeness within us and getting rooted to our true self. Once that we are able to do, na, we are a different person totally, isn't it? So now why we fall sick? Let's understand. So when I fell sick with cancer, of all the illness, like any other illness, probably I would have treated it by having medicines and carrying on with life. That's what we all do, isn't it not? Like with a like anything like a migraine or even in a heart surgery, we are willing to go through the surgery, and after that the doctor says you're fine, so we carry on with life. But in cancer is an illness where we cannot go back and carry on with life as we as it is. We need to look at it differently. We need to take a different route, different turn, change our lifestyle to actually get back to health. It just doesn't happen only with the treatment. That, at only that you need to look at it differently. Is what I understood from two things. One was from the book which I read. The 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 the, the Helio Life. I'm sure many of you will be knowing Louise A in this group. Huh? Any you can put your raise your give me a thumbs up or a message. We all know, many of us know Louise A. But when I got this book of Louise A, I didn't know who she was. The book had no cover. The book had, it was not even like this. It was an old book. One of my friend and a colleague of mine visited me when I was really sick. And she said, this book is for you. Please read it. I have not read the book and I don't know what is in this book. And I said, come off it. I'm so sick. What, I'll read this book. But anyway, that book laid in my table and something told me one day I must read it. And I opened the book and the first page, I saw something called Inner Child. And that motivated me so much to read the book. And at one go, I read the book. And so much I got from that book. And another thing which I learned a lot was attending this retreat. I attended this retreat just before my relapse. It was conducted by this, Nilima and Vijay Bhatt. Vijay Bhatt, who is runs a Cancer Awakens website. His organization called Cancer Awakens, and it was long time back. All that was not there, and that in that retreat, I really understood that the cancer, I need to look at it holistically. So this was one of processes we all did. For the first time, I came to know that I have some emotional baggage and some childhood wounding which I have carried, and that could be a trigger for my illness. I never realized it at all till I did some process, and it came up to me like that, like one shock. And I said, "Come off it. This incident I know has happened in my life, but I don't think it could be a trigger for my illness." And anyway, I just was there for 10 days. The retreat happened, and I came back, and then the relapse happened. So there was a lot of churning happening within me in my mind. I didn't know where to do, what to start with, and nothing, no clue. And this relapse happened, and that is when the book also I read. So everything fell in place, and then I got an answer for my illness. I got an answer how I could work with my illness. So the takeaway from the book and the retreat was, first of all, the book. Louise A talked about her reversing cancer through a whole plant-based nutritionist food. And she had written a line in that book that I ate food without even knowing what those names were of those vegetables, because in her life she has never eaten it. So for me also, it was one big takeaway that, my doctor has never introduced me to a food which is, different from what I've eaten. It's a comfort food which I have had. And my doctor said, continue having the same food. So I never ventured into having a salad or a juice or a smoothie and things like that. And here, Louise was talking about reversing a cancer by eating bowls of raw salads. So that was something I needed to look into it, because I didn't know anything about it till then, that a food can reverse illnesses, especially something like cancer. Then another thing was thoughts. We all have thoughts. Our chattering mind goes on with so much of thoughts, the inner critic, the negative voices, the values and beliefs which I have about myself, all those running as thoughts in my mind. I never knew that could create a kind of a stress for myself. And the emotions which I carry, the core emotions, we all have core emotions like fear, the anger, and guilt. These are emotions, core emotions, and I never realized when these core emotions are very strong in yourself that it can create a stress and create illness like cancer. And limiting beliefs, because of all these thoughts and emotions, there's a whole lot of limiting beliefs I have around myself. So this was a great awareness and great takeaway for me, and I really realized how I could work with all this. And I said, okay, let me take it at one step at a time. And I allowed things to open up for me. Yeah, because I understood from where my stresses are coming and how it is compromising my immune system. Because the more you are stressed, your immune system is going to get weakened. Now, for a person who's 47 years old, you can't expect to get cancer. We might be, our immune system might be weak. We might have cold, cough, headache, stomach ache, something like that. But to get cancer was something I just couldn't digest that so young. And I was in my peak of my life, planning, I mean, to change, shift jobs, and my children in high school, doing well for for themselves, and my husband at peak of his career. And here I am sick, and the entire family gets disturbed by it, which is something too much for anybody to digest and to deal with. And I really felt that I still have life. I have got so many things which I need to do, and I had no clue what I'm going to do. So I said, okay, when I read the book and understood, I said I'll center myself and take it one step at a head. And I allowed the things to open up for me, and I was a part of the Vedanta class. So Vedanta also really helped me to work with my thoughts and emotions and mind. And I just took it slowly. It's not that whatever I'm sharing I did it at one go, definitely not. It went in a slow process, and the healing happened the moment I realized all this. What I realized is the healing had begun, and I was going in a path of wellness. That is something I started feeling. I didn't fear the cancer. I knew that I'm going to come out of it, and that gave me one kind of a boost and made me do more and more and be on this path and not give up. So what did I do little by little? So the first was I moved into a whole plant-based diet. I decided, okay, my next meal I would eat a bowl of salad. Remember, I've never eaten salad in my life. I hated raw salads, and as a South Indian, it's a family, we never eat raw in South, isn't it not? If anybody is there in South, from South, you will all know that our meals are rice based and it is all cooked. There's nothing like call a salad in our meal. It's once in a way, and the salad is so little. We hardly eat any of those salads, isn't it? So for me, the next meal to eat a bowl of salad that were raw carrots grated was something true. I would say it was difficult, but at the same time, behind my, I was keeping in mind that this is going to heal me. It was going to heal. If it is heals Louise, why it will not work for me? And then we all have this Google. Even that time we had this Google where you can Google and search. So I started till then. My Googling was what cancer, how long a person will live, what is the medicine my doctor is giving, how it works. So much so that before I go and meet my doctor, he'll say, what have you read today and come? What do you know? So that's how he used to joke around. And here I used to feel so upset and so terrible. But he had this big smile and he would ask me questions like that. And then, so my thing was, I immediately started looking out for different things. And I tell you, when you ask, the universe gives you, it really gave me lots and lots of information of work dealing and then coming out of illness through a natural and a healthy way. And so the first thing was to understand more about this plant-based diet. So for me, Sharon website was an eye-opener. In fact, I connected to it so well. Not for any of, I would have gone even to the other sites in other countries, and there were a lot of things put up in the US based websites, and even my cousin sent me links, but I somehow couldn't connect to all of them as Sharon website, because here it was started by Dr. Nandita, and somebody whom I could connect with, who was an Indian doctor and trying to give us this information. And it's something I could connect well, though I could not meet her for a long time because I was so sick. But I shifted the way I started eating. I changed my diet and I started eating something very different. And it did give me a lot of fear, but the support was there that I'm reading. I read all these books with the Sharon website I had put, most of them, though I could not read all of it at the same time, but I definitely got the essence in most of them. That all these doctors who were independent, doing things on their own, were all promoting a whole plant-based diet to their patients. So that's something made me continue and learn more and more of it. I watched that Sharon was showing a movie called Forks Over Knives. I watched it at home. And somewhere I started believing that what I'm doing is is helping me, and I could actually see it in our body. Remember, our body is so amazing. When we show it something, even if you feed something little right, it starts giving out to us more. So my side effects of chemo vanished. I started feeling energetic. I never felt I was sick, and in fact I became more cheerful. I started feeling much better, and of course my doctor didn't know what I was trying to do, but he always felt that I was looking better, and my blood counts and all became normal. So I never took any injections for my chemo. And my chemotherapist also, and that time anyway it was so new, I couldn't share anything with them, because I was also scared, because they told us not to eat raw, and here I was just doing that. But it really helped me. Then I started reading. So now you ask me, I can definitely tell that uh, a whole plant-based food definitely helps to reverse any illness, even cancer, to that extent. And I certified myself also by doing the e-cornell course, and understood this entire thing perfectly to keep and sustain it. So if you ask me what's a diet, even now I follow a whole plant-based diet. I do it properly, and I follow everything so that I maintain the energy which I am having, all, and the health, all my parameters are fine. It's not that I become all right and my bone density is low, or I've got osteoporosis, or I have problems with thyroid, or I have some other issue. I need to maintain it, because the moment I have any other symptoms, I know my immune system is coming down, and I'm exposing myself again for the illness to come back. Isn't it? So I really need to take care, and in fact, like in Sharon, all of us love doing it. So it is not at all an effort. It comes very easily for me to follow this diet and do everything what I need to maintain the health. And then another thing which I started, which I did, was my working on my thoughts and emotions. So that was another thing I had to do side by side. It's not that I just look into it later. So things really started opening up for me. I started attending workshops where I could work with my stress, because my stress levels were so high. I had so many things which I have not addressed to. So many childhood woundings, unmet needs, the emotional baggages. Now, all that gives you stress. Now, stress is good. Definitely, stress is good. But when the stress is not affecting us, we should like understanding how that stress is a part and parcel of life. So, if I have a birthday party, I at home, I need to do work. I need to get stressed. I need to do it. I'm very clear, and I know that job gets done and everything becomes fine, because all animals in nature have respond to stress, and we are all coping with stresses all the time. So that much of stress is needed. So when I talk to people and they say, oh my god, this is stressing me, so for me also it is, everybody is with stress. But I never realized that I had a deep underlying stress, and that was taking me to uh, downward, in the downward spiral, because there were things which I have not addressed or not managed, and the stress was actually taking a toll on my system. And I had no clue, because everybody goes through problems, everybody goes through with childhood issues, everybody goes through something or the other. And when you talk about it, they also talk about it, but I had no clue that it was actually um, that my it is affecting my health, till I attended the retreat, and I figured it out for myself. So there is this stress. So when we are having stress, what is it? That our body secretes cortisol, isn't it? And that is a hormone which is highly toxic, and affects your immune system, like and brings in the stress. So it's a different study called psychoneuroimmunology, where they talk about it, and there are lots of books written by it, and Louise Hay also talks a lot about it. So stress plays a very important role in having a good health for us. If it is too much and it's chronic, it's going to really affect your health. And we have strong emotions like worry, fear, anger, frustration, and all that. It is going to affect us a lot. And and so for me, my core emotion for me was fear. Like many of us have anger. We say everybody gets angry, it is okay. Everybody worries, it's okay. But definitely you only know what is going on within yourself. And fear. My strong core emotion was fear. I would operate from fear. And we all operate from different emotions. And but the core emotion is something which triggers every time when we go through a stressful situation. So for me, my core emotion was fear whenever I go through any stressful situation. And when you are in fear, it's going to affect a particular organ. And fear is an organ. Out of fear, it is going to affect an organ, and that organ is the ovary or the reproductive systems. So that is how it is. Like if I am operating from another emotion, it might have affected another organ. But for me, which is fear, and as Louise connects it, every emotion affects a different organ. Yes, you're all with me in this. So the kind of stress. So we all have acute stress and we have chronic stress. So for me, the acute stress is everybody goes through. It is short lived, which our body gets back into balance in no time. But the chronic stress is something which is deep rooted, and it is sort of even buried and sub and kept, and you don't want to address it at all, and we don't address it in any way. Nothing comes up for us to address it, and it is lying there dormant, and that is what which creates all the illness for us, because we don't really address it healthily. And what happens is, when we say don't address it, our body is continuously stressing, secreting the stress hormones without our knowledge, unconsciously, because the body thinks we are in danger, because any stress hormone is secreted for us to protect ourselves. But here, I am not in danger. It is only my thought pattern, this is which is going on, and my body is all the time secreting the the toxic hormone, the cortisol, and it's bringing down my immune system, and my body is moving from an alkaline space to an acidic space. Now, cancer cells grow in what? In an acidic space, isn't it not? This is what I read, So I stopped all acidic food. But even my stress is so important. I need to work on my stress so that I am in balance, I am happy, and my body is secreting the endorphins. So, and all illnesses are connected with a stress. But it's only in cancer I woke up and said, oh no, I'm going to die, so I need to do something about it. But when I read the books on psychoneuroimmunology, the authors, all the authors who are eminent psychologists and researchers, all connected illness, even a simple headache, to a stress. Huh? So every illness is connected to stress. Are you with me on that when I share it?
Yes, Trish.
Yes. So everything. So we need to look into what is our stress when we are not feeling well. And so before I was diagnosed with cancer, so the stress was creating some of the illnesses for me, like migraine, constant headache, feeling very low in immune, and acid reflux. So now, when you look at all this, when I had it, I never thought I'm going to get cancer. At 30 or 35, when I got it, I said, okay, everybody has it. I also have it. I'll treat it. Maybe I'll take rest or eat a Combiflan for the headache to go away. Maybe sleep for some time. But little realizing that, it's all my body signals telling me something is wrong. Please balance yourself. Get back to balance, which I never knew, nor anybody told me, because whenever we fall sick, we only go to treat it. We don't really look at deeper and find out what is it that is creating that for me first. So we are habituated to do it, and that is what I actually did. And so, as Louise says, that every thought, everything else is a mirror of our inner thoughts, and every cell within our body responds to every single thought you think and every word we speak. So this is something I I was really pondering and thinking and understanding it for a long time. I couldn't get it so well and understand it, because somewhere we are not. I was not really thinking in this lines, that if I think, how much it is going to affect my body. But so the mind body connection is so much, like we have a lot of muscle So I went to so many of these workshops to understand that when I think, like when you think, what happens? When we have a strong emotion, definitely our body reacts. We have palpitation. We don't. Our breath becomes very uh, uh, hard, and then our body stiffens. So there are a lot of things. So the moment we have a thought, but we really don't connect. I think nobody has taught us, or we don't connect. When I think of a negative thought, actually my body is reacting to it. But when I started really understanding it and connecting to it, and I started working, thinking that some thought, and I started connecting how I'm feeling in the body, I really realized when I have thoughts which is negative, or which is not feeling, making me feel good, I could see that heartbeat more, my body stiffening, and something happening to myself. So it is something we really need to look into, is what I realized. And now there's research which shows that only 8% of the people actually live their life they really want for themselves. Now, this is for something which I couldn't really understand and connect, because it was so shocking that this is what was written. So that means almost 98% of our people don't live the life they want to. So I only took it for myself. Yes, the life which I wanted to and what I wanted to do, I am not doing it. I had a lot of things which was holding me back, isn't? And I realized that at 47, when I got cancer, there were so many things which I wanted to do and I've not been doing it. It was not that anybody stopped me from doing it. It was my own self, it was my own doing, which is what I realized. Nobody hold me. There might be some certain external circumstances which might be that you cannot really change, like our the surroundings we are born in, or what has gone through in our life, or our the environment, the money, and whatever is there, that is this external circumstances. But the internal limitations which I have is really creating was created by myself. It was not by anybody else. So um, like we are not able to create what you want, like in relationship, money, health, everything, which is is something which I realized, and it is my own perception. It is not to do with anybody else. It is the way I look at things and the way I perceive, and the emotional baggages which I've carried, or the fears, the doubts, and everything. So the external circumstances is something there. Like example, now I got cancer, that is an external circumstances. But the internal limitation was in my hand. I needed to not take from the doctor that this cancer is going to, in 5 years only, we cannot say anything more than that. And it is a cancer which spreads, it cannot be contained, and it can relapse. So these were all the external things which my doctor fed me. But the internal limitations is I need have to take all of it. I can think otherwise. So actually, when I started reading and understanding, I moved from that internal limitation. I started thinking I'm going to become good. I will do ways and means to get well. When so many people can get well, there is all high chances of me getting well. So I changed my perception. So when I changed that, I was really able to come out of the illness. It was like your thoughts create your reality. So I really understood it was my own thoughts, and I need to have thoughts which will create my own reality. So that was a big takeaway from that book which I read of Louise Hay, where she talks about thoughts. It's the thoughts which creates emotions. It's our thoughts which creates feelings and everything. So, so when we look at it, how many thoughts we all have? Can anybody guess the number of thoughts we can have in a day? Yes.
Joshi, no answer as of now. Yes, 10,000 Sindhu is saying.
Okay, so we have thoughts like 80,000 thoughts in a day. This is researched and written in books. We have about 80,000 thoughts in a day. And how many thoughts are negative in that? Most of them are negative. Now, uh, when we start looking at our thoughts, we really understand that. Let me take you through one small meditation. if you're all game for it, before we go further to understand what are we thinking on a day-to-day basis. Okay, you can all close your eyes. Just connect to your breath, breathe in, breathe out. And as you breathe in, feel your abdomen rise. And as you breathe out, feel your abdomen fall. Relax your body. And in that centered space, I'm going to take you back to this morning and to the time when you woke up in the morning. I want you to go back and analyze what are the kind of thoughts that you woke up with. Did you end up feeling stressed about what's the day going to bring? Tired of all the chores that you have to be completed by you? Were you worrying about the things? Or did you wake up feeling extremely grateful for being alive for another day? Or were you simply neutral? Or you woke up with some kind of body ache, some aches, pains, that is what you woke up with. As you went through your day, what are the kind of thoughts that you were feeling as you were interacting with your family members, with people around you? Maybe people at work. What is the kind of continuous mental chatter, the continuous inner dialogue that was going on in your head? Even as you went, or even as you went through the day, watching television, you're watching the news, what is that was happening inside of you? Normally, when you sleep in the night, what are the kind of thoughts that you sleep with? So notice every single moment, there were so many thoughts that was running in your head. Did you even notice that there were so many thoughts? Did you even notice and become aware that there were so many thoughts? And did you become aware that you could actually change the way you were thinking? Now slowly come back to the here and now. And as and when you're comfortable, you can open your eyes. And if you became aware of your thoughts, you can put up your hands or you can put in a message. And what kind of thoughts you got.
Prakriti is saying yes.
Yes.
Even Sushma is saying yes.
Okay. So were your thoughts positive or negative, of making you feel good?
Both. They were both
Both.
Sushma.
Yes, nice. So
It
we
was
all, yes, yes, Komal. So we all have so many thoughts, good, bad. It is understanding how many thoughts which are positive for us and is making us feel good, and thoughts which is not making us feel good, and what kind of thoughts we have. Yes. So we have this mental chatter all the time, inner dialogue. What kind of inner dialogue you have? The negative voices in our head, the values, the beliefs. It is just becoming aware of all that, the inner critic within ourselves. Yes. So it's not that one thought is going to affect our system. It is so many thoughts. So one negative thought, nothing is going to happen. But many times one thought leads to another thought, and it goes on and on. And without our realization, a, a drop becomes, like, you take an analogy of water. A drop of water, it becomes a little puddle, then it becomes a pond, and then it becomes, an ocean. And like, so we are really submerged in a whole lot of negative thoughts without our realization. Suddenly you'll realize, my God, all so many thoughts, and this mind goes on chattering, and that we can't even control this mind. And especially when we go for meditation, vipassana, when we are made to sit quietly, these thoughts run from one end to another. And many times, when you really absorb, at least for me, it was thoughts which really never helped me or anything like that. When I look back, there'll be thoughts of so many thoughts, and thoughts which create so many emotions which are really strong and hurt. Because many times when things happen to us, it has happened, but we carry on with the wound which has happened to us, the hurt, the feeling. So each time when we go back to that incident, or when there's a trigger happening, it's the same emotions which is coming up, the same feelings come up. And that's without, and we don't realize that those all create a kind of stress for us. And and we just take it lightly and just leave it and carry on with life, without even realizing that it is affecting our body, and maybe our illness is because of that. I didn't realize it. And when I got cancer, it was only first time I was only treating it. It's the second time when I went deeper, and I realized, oh my God, these thoughts, these unmet needs, these little wounds which have happened to me, I'm still carrying it, and it's still creating all these triggers. And it might have been a reason. I mean, it's not that it might have been a reason, it was the reason for my illness. And then it starts working on all that. And many times, if you have noticed, if something happens to us, we don't like to go back and look into it. Yes or no? We don't like to go back and look at it. And it becomes a very painful thing to go back and understand what has happened, maybe even go through those emotions, and then healing it becomes so painful. So many times we just shut it off and say it is okay. It has happened, and it has happened. And many times in our logical mind, we reason it out and we analyze it, but we never go into our heart, into that feeling part of us, and connect to that feeling. Because when we think of that wound, still we feel the same thing, and we don't connect to that. And that is what gives us all this illness which comes to us. And it can be anything from cancer to diabetes to blood pressure to anything. It is those triggers which makes us unwell. Yes, I this is my learning. No? I don't know how much you're all connecting to it, but this is what I realized. So if I needed to heal my cancer, though it was painful, I needed to go back. So when I became an NLP practitioner or inner child therapist, I never went to any of those sessions to become a therapist or become an NLP practitioner, or for that matter, even a Heal Your Life workshop leader. It was just purely to heal myself. Now you must be thinking, how come I am having so much of things? It's not that I had, it is all created by me. My own assumptions, my own belief systems, my own baggages which I carry. Because many times we have things like people would have told us something, but how do we interpret it? We interpret it in a different way, isn't it not? Like I have a thought, and then when I have a feeling, and then I have a behavior. So my thought is somebody would have done something to me, but I will look at it and think, okay, yeah, this person doesn't love me. So then what is the feeling I have? I don't feel good. Okay, this person doesn't love me. So what should I do? I must do something more. I should please him. I should pour my heart out and do things so that I get back the love from him. But that he doesn't know what is happening, and he's not going to get bothered, and I'm going to feel more hurt. Isn't it not? That is what happens. So the behavior, when you have a feeling, so supposing I feel my mother doesn't love me, I'm going to do all the things to make her uh, to make to make her feel, but she must be actually loving me, but it is my own thought that she doesn't love me, and she continues behaving the same way, and that is going to affect me. And then I'm going to have another thought. So the thought cycle keeps on going, and I'm going to feel hurt. And this happens in every sphere of our life. In our office, if our boss tells something, then it would be like, oh, the boss doesn't like me, he's partial. And then our thought cycle and our feelings would be of different, in a way that is going to upset me and feel um, low. My self-esteem gets affected because I'm always trying to please others. I'm always trying to live with the expectation of somebody else. I don't realize what I really need, what I need to do for myself, what will I do to need to make myself feel good. So this goes on, and each time I'm going to have a thought like that, it's going to make me feel helpless, anxious, upset. And then I'm going to have a lot of fear, anxiety, and my behavior is formed in that way. But if I'm going to think, so I when at the moment I realized this, I realized to work on my thought. The moment I knew that I need to come out of my cancer, my first thing was to work on my thoughts. I decided that each time it's difficult. I'm not saying, because we are used to thinking one way for 46 years. I've thought in one way. Suddenly to think that I am good also becomes so difficult, because I'll have hazard reasons to tell to myself that I am not good. So when I'm going to give all those reasons, I'm going to actually feel miserable and awful. And that is not going to help me to heal at all. And then the behavior is, I have limiting, I block myself, I hold myself, I don't do things which I want to do. I don't enjoy. I might be wanting to go for a walk, but I'll think, no, what I can do, it's not possible. People would say something. So these are all the limiting beliefs which stops me from doing things which I really want to do. And this goes on and on. And every cancer patient needs to look into this. And I would say from my own personal experience, that if you have anybody in this group is going through cancer, first is get treated, but work on your thoughts, work on your emotions, work on your feelings. And initially you may not be able to do it by yourself. It's okay to take help from people. It's okay to go to therapists. It's okay to go to coaching. I learned all this just by going for one workshop. And after that, I really went to many, because I had so many things coming up. And we all have. I'm not saying that we all don't have. We all have so many things we have not addressed to. And a workshop or a setting like a therapy really helps. And for me, it helped. So it really helps. So we need to look into that. So if I have a thought, I'm sorry, the same thing came up. So if I'm going to have a thought, it is time to reboot, it's time to become happy, and I'm going to become healthy. So I started having a thought that I'm going to come out of this cancer. So when I started thinking that I'm going to come out of this cancer, I automatically started feeling so good. I started looking at all the things what I can do to become healthy. I would have gone for yoga class, I would have done breathing, I would have done some EFT, emotional freedom technique, so many things I just did. And it came up. It's not that I went in search of it. Like when you want, the universe gives it you kind of thing. I got open to Louise's training, and I never knew a teacher from US would come and do a training for us. For me, I said, my God, where I'll go for a Heal Your Life workshop, because when I read the book, it talked about the 2-day workshop. So I mean, and that was an eye opener for me when I went, and that is so needed, because emotional healing becomes so important in any illness, and especially when it is cancer, I feel. And the moment you put in those new thoughts, like thoughts are like seeds you're sowing in the ground. It's like new thinking pattern. Your life blooms. It really blooms, and you look out for new opportunities, new avenues. You start thinking differently, you start feeling differently, and you also connect to different people. You make friends with so many. Like, for my experience, I knew so many wonderful people. And if I look back now, if I didn't get cancer, I probably would have never met all of them. And because of my cancer, I got connected to all those wonderful things, and my life really changed. And this is one big takeaway from Louise's book: change your thought, change your life. And it's so true. The moment you change your thought, your life changes. So it's like, you start, it's not that you don't think we all have thoughts. It is just understanding what is the nature of our thought, what is the essence, what is the feelings of those thoughts. The moment we become aware of it, and it can it doesn't come easily, but definitely I did meditation and I did affirmations. And it's like, even you can just sit in your house, put some music, and go within and understand how you are feeling, what is your thought pattern. And it's meditation is nothing but just connecting to your breath. It's not one big science that is difficult to do. Anybody can do it. Okay. So as what we choose to believe about ourselves is, and about life, becomes so true. It's so true. Like, I started choosing to believe differently in my life. And I would say Louise Day was my motivator, because if you have read books of hers, you will understand at what age she transformed her life. And so it is choosing to do different things, choosing to believe differently about yourself, and 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 connecting to that and being sure of it, and the life really changes. So if I have moved out of cancer and I am having a healthy life for 10 years, I did all of it. Of course, it's a slow process, it doesn't happen overnight, but it definitely helps us to move from where we are and make that shift. So when I look back, I really have made this huge shift from where I was to where I am now. It is not hard work, but it is definitely working on your own self. So so our negative thoughts, as I told you, it's full of criticism, and we beat ourselves up. Now when we don't um, love ourselves and appreciate ourselves, nobody is going to do it for us. So it's so important that we do it to ourselves. Understand the real self. Who are we? The real, and where the difference is real self and the ideal self. The ideal self, comes from a space of should, where people have told you. So it was people who told me I should be like this, I should be like this, I should be like that. But my real self was something totally different. I needed to want to do something different. I wanted to do whatever I want, and that only I will know. Nobody else is going to know. And we operate from a should, and there's a lot of gap between this ideal and real. That is where we really have issues. The more we work on it and bring that ideal self and real self closer, we are going to be in sync with ourselves, and we are going to feel that wonder within us, and that compassion, and that feeling of that that what do you call that, happiness or whatever you say. And we connect to ourselves much better. So it's so important to work on that, and only we can do it, nobody else can do it. So it's moving from that I should, because when we are in that I should, we are so rigid. We are in somebody else's expectation, living up to somebody else's life, and all that. We are not living our own life the way we want to live. So that's so important. And again, from this should, what happens to us? We feel so guilty, we feel so stressed out, anxious, because we beat ourselves up. And in that space, what happens? We are having emotions which is not conducive for our growth or feeling happiness and feeling good about ourselves. We are in a space of negative, and it really sucks us. And then we have this feeling the life is like, life sucks and we are so useless, and we come from that space. So the inner thoughts is equal to our um, outer reality. So if you want something beautiful outside, first of all, we need to feel very good from within. The moment we start feeling that, remember that external will change. So if I look back, now the way I have started thinking, I feel everything is wonderful outside. I have nothing to complain. I have nothing to criticize, because I'm in that space. Like, you say, wow, you're in that peace, and it is so difficult to get. No, it's not like that. Anybody can do it. My first workshop, when I went, I felt the workshop leader so peaceful. And this is what she said: everybody has got it, but it is how we balance and how we keep ourselves in that space, and understanding what is happening within ourselves is so important. So as Wayne Dyer says, you cannot change the outside. You can only change what is going inside of you. So once you realize that, when you change inside, outside changes. it changes so beautifully. So what we need to do is only take care of yourself. So what we can do, we can love ourselves, take care, eat good nutrition, visualize the future. Visualization is such a beautiful thing to do. Exercise, take care of your body, nourish yourself. These are all the important things we do, and they are all so simple. The more we love ourselves, we'll be open to doing all this. Pray, meditate. It's all wonderful things to do, and this is all what we need to do to get back to health. And forgiving yourself, because once we start doing all this, we start feeling, my god, I did this, I behaved like this, I was so mean to this person. So we feel so bad about it. It's okay, as Louis says, we knew only that much at that time, so it's okay to forgive ourselves. Forgive yourself for whatever you did, the way you treated yourself, the way you behaved before. Everything is okay. The moment you forgive yourself, you are able to accept yourself as you are, and you will be able to accept even others. That becomes such a beautiful, and your relationship grows, the bonding happens, everything falls in place. And the support yourself, definitely, to do all this you need support. Ask for help, be open to receiving, build a support system. Like, when I was working, all this where I was doing, I had a support system. I used to attend workshop. We used to have groups. We used to connect, because everybody would be coming to work on something of themselves. So there is no judgment. There is nobody criticizing. Everybody is open, and everybody is open for change and for healing. So the group is so beautiful and wonderful. So you definitely need to support yourself when you do your inner work and inner journey. You cannot do it all by yourself. And be grateful. It's so important to be grateful. So I used to have this grateful book where I used to write every time when I went for chemo. I'll be so grateful that the sister is so nice and she's treating me well. So I will be so happy that the chemo would go very nicely, there won't be any itches. I'll be grateful that today the doctor came and met me, she talked to me. So those are all the simple things, and every day writing that gratitude is so wonderful. It makes you feel so good. Even if your day has become bad, at the end of the day, when you write the gratitude journal, you feel so good, and you can go to bed in such a nice, peaceful way that your body rests so well. And it's so nice to do it. And affirmations. Now I can tell all these without any issue. Like, I am unique and perfect. I trust life. All is well in my world. I am safe. I'm supported. Life is beautiful. I'm willing to change. These are the affirmations you keep telling yourself like mantra, and it really helps. Initially, you might have difficulty, but as you go on doing it, it becomes part and parcel of yourself, and your unconscious mind works for you. So even when you have a negative message, this comes up, and you are able to shift it in no time, and it becomes such an easy thing. So loving yourself to great health is so important. Just the entire essence is only loving ourselves. The more we love ourselves, everything falls in place, and life becomes so beautiful. It's like, every thought we put in our is like a seed. So what you plant in your mind can give you flowers or weeds. So if I look at back, I had weeds. And now when I look back, it is all flowers. So the thoughts play an important role. So we need to look at our thoughts. And the moment we understand that, we are able to do everything. We start looking after our body. We start cherishing our body. We look after it so beautifully, like a temple. Definitely our body is a temple, and we need to keep it very healthy and fine. And it's so important to look after it. And for that, we need to have a wonderful thought, the feeling of happiness to do it and sustain it. So if I'm doing it for so many years, it's just that. And and I'm telling you, life has become so beautiful. So whoever is going through any illness, just understand that you need to look within and stop. The treatment can go on, but it doesn't end with just that treatment. You need to look even more deeper, and there's no harm. There'll be so many things which we may not like, but doesn't matter. It is there to come up for healing, and the moment it comes up, it gets healed and gets resolved, and we can let it go in no time. Yes. and thank you.